Hello and welcome to the Otaku Oasis podcast. This is the first episode covering Dr. Stone. Today we are covering episodes 1 through 5 and chapters 1 through 13 of the manga. I am your host here today, Joshua, and I am joined by Matthew and Matthew.
Hello.
Introduce yourselves.
Hello. I'll just go by Matt for this.
I'll take Matthew. You know me, I've been here before. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm newer, but I'm mostly probably just gonna end up focusing on the science for Dr. Stone.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll take that too.
Because I could not watch the show without being like, how accurate is that? Some of which I knew was accurate, some of which I knew was inaccurate.
At least they try.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting everything to be perfect with the show, obviously, but
I appreciate the effort. I always
Yeah.
like when shows try to explain it in one way or another.
Yeah, it's definitely appreciated.
all right. So do we want to get started then?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Right. So, starting off, we get a scene in the modern day world with Taiju barging in on Senku's lab, saying that he's going to confess to Yuzuriha, and he Senku offers him what he deems a love potion, but it's actually gasoline. To which Taiju obviously rejects and goes to confess his love to Yuzuriha. So just based off this starting scene, what Matthew, what was your thoughts on Senku and Taiju's character?
Well, I don't know. I and just the first thing I thought of, but when I heard Taiju's voice actor, which I'm pretty sure is the same one from Mirio, right?
I don't know the dub, so maybe.
Okay, in the dub, I think the same voice actor for Taiju is the same for Mirio, and I got the same kind of character vibes. They're just kind of, I mean, I'm not calling Mirio dumb, but I mean, they're both strong people who aren't always the brightest.
It's not accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong to say that he is dumb. Just also maybe just like the thing where Senku says that he knew Taiju wouldn't have taken it is just more of his, I think, straightforward approach.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you can kind of see early on as well.
Neither character are dumb, but there are some similarities which I do appreciate. And I really I don't know. At first, I dislike Senku's always saying that 5 billion% sure or whatever.
10 billion, but
10 billion. But it kind of grew on me after a while. I started finding it kind of funny after a while, just because of how silly the whole phrase is and how often he uses it.
Yeah, it's the way that this manga was originally set up was like meant to be a bit more like gag manga in nature, kind of like original Dragon Ball or Dr. Slump sort of.
Okay.
Tone.
Never heard
so
of that
that's why
one.
That's another work by Toriyama.
Okay.
But basically, like, characters in gag mangas usually tend to have like one line or so that's like kind of like their infamous joke sort of line.
Wait, was this written by Toriyama?
No. This is written by the same author who wrote a different manga, I believe, for Shonen Jump called I think it was Eye Shield 21. It was a football manga.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
But he's like done works before, so this isn't like his first big work.
Okay.
But so like it was supposed to be, I believe, like more gag in nature at the beginning, so like, and you'll kind of like see it on. It's like it still kind of keeps that gag manga type thing where like characters have like some characters will have this thing that they say, but it's kind of like a catchphrase type thing, you know?
Yeah.
Some of them also have like the very over the top facial thing, which you've seen a few times with, I believe Taiju has it.
Yeah, I do appreciate Taiju's just crazy faces he made, and Senku has it every now and then. I like the
Yeah.
over the top face animation.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and the art done by Boichi is like really well. He
Okay.
one of his actually like first art pieces, same with the author for My Hero, Horikoshi, both had like their first arts in Oda has this thing in One Piece called the SBS corner where he takes like questions and art submissions from fans, and
Hmm.
both of them had their art submissions pop up there
Nice.
because they're both very influenced by One Piece.
Okay. Interesting.
I can see
But
that in some of the arts for sure.
I'd probably be able to see it if I've ever watched One Piece.
yeah, I mean it's more of just influence, not like exact replica.
Yeah, I
But,
didn't think so.
yeah. But anyways, we get Taiju confessing his love to Yuzuriya, or at least he was about to. But then the world gets hit by a sudden green beam that hits over the entire planet, turning everyone to stone.
And I know I said I was going to go over the science, but don't ask me to explain.
Cool, because I was
Yeah,
actually about to ask how that worked.
yeah. Trust me, even with being up to date in the manga, I still cannot explain to you what like everything that this science entails.
It
Cool,
was
because
one of the two things I couldn't explain.
I was about to ask because I knew that I'm guessing the birds were like because we see later on that there were birds that were turned to stone. I was gonna guess that that was a test run.
Yep.
I have to assume as well, but they haven't confirmed or denied anything.
My
That
question is how did because the birds happened before everyone else. Like the day the thing happened, they saw the birds turn to stone and were trying to
It was
help it.
actually like a few days prior.
Never mind. How do you target one species?
mm, yeah,
I I
I-
Yeah, I honestly do not know. Even knowing what the device looks like for this from like the point in the manga that I'm at, I still have no idea how it targets only a specific species.
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's unsatisfying.
It's still a big mystery in the manga. You'll understand at least a little bit more when we like get to that point, but
Has that
right
point
now
have
it right now
is
it's
that point in the
still
anime yet?
um no, it'll probably be in like the third season, which has
Cool.
been announced but just won't be out for probably about another year or two.
Okay, cool.
But anyways, what do you think about like so basically when everything turns to stone, we get a bit of a montage of how the world falls apart.
I thought that was awesome because that reminded me of I think I want to say like the end of like world history honors sophomore year of high school. We watched a video on like the end, like what would happen if humans disappeared, and it was really cool. Like you see like in 30 years buildings will be like covered in vines and plant life, and then animals will slowly retake the cities and the buildings will collapse and stuff. So I mean from what I know it's accurate as to how it would actually go.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's accurate except for you, how long was it that they were stoned for?
3,700 years I believe.
Yeah, I thought
That is correct.
I thought I remembered that one, but I apparently not. And
Yeah. Or as Senku will say later, 117 trillion 354 billion. Oh wait, no. I messed up. That was three extra zeros. 117 million, not million.
Billion.
I keep on messing this up. Billion 354,893,870 seconds.
I was gonna say that sounds too low, but then I remembered a billion's a big number, so no, that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
but also in that time, the landscape should not be the same.
No.
He's like, "I'll if the landscape's at all similar, I'll be able to find my way to this tree." No, you wouldn't.
No.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
Well, I mean, it was a tree though. Like a tree that was like, I wouldn't say in its prime, but like very young. So,
Yeah.
This
But
is true, but also
How did he? So we're talking about Taiji, right?
Yeah, him being like, "Oh, I can
Yeah.
follow this
He
river."
know where to go because like he doesn't know where he woke up.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh,
No.
I see this small stream. This is the stream I know. If I follow this, it'll lead me there."
That's just luck. He shouldn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, especially
Especially
because
with the dams breaking we see, the water should be a lot different.
yeah,
yeah, from what like it's seen in the anime, it definitely shouldn't work that way. But
Because
we don't see anything like flooding wise or anything like that in
because that was
actually
the
no,
reason
we
that they
do.
got moved around into the caves, right? Was because of those floods. Because
Or maybe
Senku
it
later,
just formed the caves
well, no,
potentially.
Senku said that that's where they washed up, or later on.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I assume maybe they just got lucky and didn't move as far as maybe some others did.
Well, did
Some did get encased into sides of canyons, but also there being canyons, kind of means that
Means
water
that
would have carved through the earth. Hence, this tiny little stream that he might have remembered could have caused a canyon and would not be a tiny little stream anymore.
yeah.
well, or it could have been what forms it, because I believe it's what's said is like Earth rises up over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it could have just been what forms that like canyon that they're in.
My question is, so Yuzuriya didn't move at all, right? She was where she ended. She stayed where she was when she turned to stone.
Yeah,
Yes,
she got
because
like
she was
trapped inside
she-
the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did both of them end up so far away if they were all in roughly the same position?
Well, I think. Well, actually, we know where. Well, we don't know where Senku woke up. We see it, but we don't have an idea of where that is relative to other places we see.
Did
I
he
mean,
wake
it's fairly
himself
close
up?
to the cave, though, I believe.
Yeah, because he says they both washed up near the cave,
I got
and
a
I think
go for it.
Senku had moved Taiju.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's definitely implied.
Yeah, it's definitely yeah.
My question is, well, I got a couple. When the buildings collapsed, how many people do you think died? Like when,
I
So
mean,
many.
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I have to imagine quite a bit, because, like, even just, like, waking up in the canyon thing, we can see that some people's bodies already split apart when Taiju sees them.
yeah. How did Senku not die? Because he was on the second floor of a building when that would have collapsed.
Luck,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just
Okay.
assume that luck played a big part in this
Yeah,
opening.
I'm not gonna lie. When we got the flashback at the end of episode 5, to Senku waking up, I actually thought, because the way they animated, he was buried under grass. So I thought he had actually been like cleaved in half and had somehow regenerated his lower half until he finally brushed the grass away. I was like, wow, we're getting a totally different anime than I thought.
Well, I mean,
And how did he wake himself up? Because he wasn't in a cave, so there was no way that the revival fluid would have worked on him.
It must have been a thing where it had reached the water and like kind of been near the stream or something.
Yeah.
or just the
Also,
bats
said
had
that he
flown in
willed-
that general area, Matt.
Yeah,
maybe.
and also says he willed himself awake, which
Don't know how that works. Because there was the big focus. Is like, if I'm gonna survive, I need to wake up in spring. So we just keep saying wake up until he wakes up, and I don't know how that works.
yeah, he was also
He was in
assume-
the middle of the outside, and then suddenly there was a flash of like the droplet of the water hitting, except it
Also-
wasn't raining, and there
But
was no
also-
bats nearby.
I mean, also, I believe consciousness plays a big part like a big part into how you revive and whatnot, or like how quickly you do.
Do not get me started on consciousness, because consciousness technically means so many of the statues should already be dead, and so the fact that every single one that they try and revive works.
Well, Matt,
Yeah.
let's just say that this stuff
Magic.
negates death. No, it negates death.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It was like practically confirmed in the most recent chapter. It negates death.
I mean, we kind of see it at the end of episode 5.
Yeah.
Because I see that was the. I mean, we'll get to it, but I kind of wish they had done episode 5 a little differently. Only in that, like at the end of episode 4, the big thing happens to Senku, and then the episode 5. I wish they had done something different with the opening to make it question whether or not everything would be all right.
Yeah,
Because it kind of throws away the whole point of it's like when you see him in the opening interacting with characters we haven't seen yet, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, also I feel like the way they explain it away with the whole like thing where he's cracking his neck all the time is a good lead up, so we can.
I actually I thought that was awesome because like I had seen it and never thought anything of it until they pointed it out. Because like they laid all the plot points there throughout the thing. They explained that there were still pieces of stone on the body. They explained how that could be healed, like the cracks would fill in with the fluid when that broke away, and then they explained why he was always cracking his neck. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, no, it was really well built up, and I mean it's like they practically revive him within like a chapter, like within the chapter, so it's not that big of a deal. So at least when I was reading it, it's like
I really like how smart Senku is. It always feels like him and the other guy whose name I cannot remember.
Taiju, Yuzuriha, or Tsukasa. Those are like the 4 characters we see this.
Yeah, Tsukasa and Senku have this kind of 4-dimensional chess game going on between each other. Because they're both really smart. But
I just like how smart
Tsukasa
is.
Yeah.
Because it does not make sense half the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the assumption of gunpowder is a bit much, but...
That was a big leap. I mean, he was right, but that was a massive leap.
That was
I mean, I could see
knowing where to go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, that would more have required that he knows what hot springs are made of. Like, the location wouldn't be too bad, like, because if you know where hot springs are, but it's more of knowing that hot springs could make into gunpowder from the sulfuric acid.
Yeah. My question is just, I'm really bad with the name. What's the main guy's name? The science guy? Senku. Does he have like what's it called? An eidetic memory? Like the one thing where you remember everything you've ever like seen or heard?
Like a photographic memory?
Yeah, but like there's like the perfect one where you remember absolutely everything.
There's a chance. It's not confirmed, but
you'd have to be that intelligent. I don't
think that. Like, I don't think there's
he studied rocket science when he was like 6.
Yeah, like, I feel like he'd have to have that like perfect memory.
I mean, he's been studying like science for a long time.
Yeah, but to remember it through 3,000 years of consciousness.
True.
You'd have to have perfect memory.
Yeah. Fair.
Now I just remembered why I don't drink Mountain Dew anymore.
Why?
Because I'm getting full body shakes. I don't do caffeine very often, and I needed to pick me up for this episode.
I just drank a Red Bull right before this, and I don't know if I'm going to regret it or not.
I drink nothing because I don't need caffeine.
Well, usually I didn't. Yeah, I just woken up, and caffeine sometimes gives me panic attacks, so we're just going to hopefully let this just be body shakes.
Yeah, maybe don't consume too much more.
I'm not drinking anymore. I had 1 bottle.
Or maybe just get... Or maybe just have some water.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, so getting on to the next thing, we get the little flashback, like, of just a bit prior to the events that happened at the beginning, where it's Taiju and Yuzuriya at the pet clinic with the birds, which we get like the whole bird thing, which that's a question for later because
that's a question we don't even have answers that you don't even have an answer for.
Just a quick toss in, similar to how Senku survived. These birds turn to stone in the air while flying from the position we see them all in. Yes. None of them were actually like perched from what we've seen. They were all flying at the time it happened. And they fell to the ground and didn't shatter.
That's an amazing point. I think the only counter argument is that you're in a building that's collapsing with a lot of heavy rubble.
Yeah. No, it's just similar to like that. How did it not break? But
Yeah,
Tsukasa
that's
can
fair.
just kind of, flick them and they just break. But also, he killed a lion.
Yeah, he killed a lion with his bare hands with one punch. I think we don't have to worry about strength with him.
Yeah, I'm like, I think Tsukasa is probably the most out of reality thing in this show.
So I'm gonna guess Tsukasa's like the main antagonist for this season.
Yeah, he's like the main antagonist for like the first like at least like third of the manga that's out so far. So
Cool. Is he still? I'm gonna guess with still out, he's still around.
yeah, he's still around.
Cool.
He's a good character, so
Yeah,
like
I
I
don't
don't
think they're
think they.
gonna kill. Like, I like him. He's got a strong set of morals. I wouldn't say they're necessarily good, but they're strong.
Yeah, I mean we'll get to that in a little bit.
Very set
So
to them.
Yeah, he's set in his ways, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily the right way.
yeah, um, and so just to continue moving forward a little bit, we get Taiju holding his thoughts similar to like Senku, like how we've mentioned Senku does throughout the time skip. He breaks out, um, and then he goes to find Yuzuriha, which it does actually take him a bit because I believe he has to like follow the river a bit.
Still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but anyways, at the tree, he sees a message from Senku and ends up meeting up with him. And basically, Senku like talks about how he's been trying to restart everything, but he hasn't been able to do much on his own because he doesn't have enough manpower to do it. And basically, that's where Taiju steps up to basically become the manpower to help Senku in his endeavors.
Including finding food.
Yes.
And about that, I'm very surprised with Senku's knowledge of foraging.
I think Senku's just smart, and that's why I think he has the eidetic memory, because he's just smart in everything.
Yeah,
I mean, like he's able to notice like because like Taiju just picks up everything indiscriminately.
Yeah.
But it's like Senku like toss it like is able to sort out the mushrooms that he brings back.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, like being able to identify those species, it takes people years to learn that. Like people can learn basic foraging knowledge in like a day or two. It's not that difficult. I've done it. But once you get into like knowing every single species, especially with the fact that species will have changed over time a lot. In the time they had, especially things like mushrooms, they change a lot. Mushrooms especially change with season. There are mushrooms that will kill you that look like some of the tastiest mushrooms in like literally they look the exact same as another type of mushroom, just depending on the season. And so knowing that can either save you or get you killed if you don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to assume that Senku probably would have had to gone through that for three seasonal cycles at this point because he woke up in spring and it's fall by time Taiju arrives.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because I couldn't remember if he had waited till the next spring, or because I don't think he did. It was 6 months, right?
Yeah,
okay.
6 months.
Which is kind of interesting how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, we get a nice little touch up where Senku is like able to make the food taste better just because he knows like he just burned down salt water. Seawater into salt.
Don't get me started on this one. Oh my. So, while yes, salt is useful. It is. And it's useful for multiple things, like you said, preserving foods, pickling, and making things actually palatable. And when it's the only thing they have in, the stone world, I can see why that would be such a nice thing to have. But also, he's boiling this down from seawater. There are so many things in seawater. You do not get clean salt from that. You have to go through a lot of washing process, And well, I do not doubt that Senku didn't know this. I would have
Yeah, I
just
mean,
hated it if they
he's not an Epicurean by any means. That's saved for a different character later on.
What's with the big words that I don't understand?
I didn't know that word either.
Epicurean, it means like they have a high standard in food
Hmm.
and they know a lot about it as well.
Well, I think he would have at least known, seawater
I mean, he
not
knows
clean.
basics, but
Well, he would have known seawater not clean, is what I'm saying. Like, he would have probably cleaned the salt. If he knew how to clean salt, that's impressive, because that's a whole nother process. You have to, like, purify the water, but without, like, getting rid of the salts, and then boiling it out, and then you have to, like, then wash the salt again, which kind of then rehydrates it. Then you have to reboil it out. It's a whole pain. It's not fun.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on from just that small little scene, we get Taiju going out exploring again. He runs across the cave where he woke up, where Senku is gathering the yep, or what is it, nitric acid, I believe?
Nitric acid.
Yeah.
Nitric acid to then create nidal etch, which I'm just gonna point something. This is big. And when I mean it's big. Miracle Food wouldn't work.
Oh, no, definitely not.
And not just because, like, oh, well, the people have turned to stone, like, that's not going to revive them. And, okay, if it was like a layer of stone on the outside of their body, yes, it might work, but they can't pour it on one spot of the body and expect the entire body to crack open. But also, this takes me to the fact that Taiju correctly identified grapes from a tree.
Well, he said there were berries. He didn't say there were grapes in particular.
No, he said there were grapes.
Yeah, I think he called them grapes.
Because they turned it into wine.
Yeah, that's true.
And when they turned it into wine, that was to make it into alcohol. You cannot get a high alcohol content out of, wine that's just grapes.
I don't think they needed a high content.
Yeah, no, they were. He was just like Senku. Then after says that, like, it's just like distilling the wine into brandy.
True.
No.
And this, with that, still, he says that he's creating nidal etch with the nitric acid and alcohol. You don't use alcohol, you use methanol. Which
wait, methanol or ethanol?
Methanol.
Okay.
Are they sort of similar, or?
Yes and no. They're similar, but for this application, I do not believe it would work. It's a small thing. It was something I noticed. And hey, he did get one thing right, experimenting on the birds, to figure out the proper ratio to make it work.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he also, we see later, tests it on just a piece of a person on its own.
Yeah, he did mention that he tried it on just like a chunk of human, and it just turned out to be flesh.
Yeah, that's unsettling.
I mean, it's better than trying it on a whole human and it not working and killing them.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I think Senku did it just because that's a bit more humane.
Yeah, use the corpse instead of the live human.
No, it's humane. It's completely.
Well, I mean by like if you were to try and pour that on like someone, Matt, if you were to try and pour that on like someone who is like actually cracked and whatnot,
True.
But anyways, so they move into distilling the grapes that they got into, like, from wine into brandy, and we get just the short scene in the winter where like Senku shows him like kind of how to shave, I guess.
Yes, I like Taiju's beard. I'm kind of sad they got rid of it.
I mean, it does look good, but I do know that they were just trying to keep same sort of character design, but
Oh yeah, that makes it easier.
I just find the scene funny is more of the thing.
Oh no, it is really funny. Though, can you really shave like that?
Yeah, that's like was really my bigger
What was it
question.
using?
And
Was it using the shells?
Yeah.
yeah, I was using the shells to pluck it hairs out.
Yeah.
Pluck them out?
Yeah.
I think that I'm pretty sure that's what it was, but yikes! Ow.
Ow!
Yeah, no, I mean,
Definitely just he made spears.
Are they sharp enough? Like, is that edge fine enough to cut the hairs?
yeah, like I
If you
think they
use
were
the right rock, yes. And
Yeah.
if you could find glass or make glass, that would be your best option because you can actually shatter glass down to pretty much. It's nearly as sharp as you can chip obsidian if you do it properly. That's
yeah,
why
but
glass arrowheads are a thing. Like if you're making your own arrowheads, using glass is a thing you'd want to do because you find like a stick and then you kind of just hit that stick on it until it like chips off the edge and you can chip it down to, I forget the exact thickness, but it's real sharp.
yeah. But otherwise, oh, that's right. I was gonna bring up that we'll see how hard it is to actually make glass in the stone world a bit later.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, basically after they distill stuff and after like 6 months, so it's like spring again, they're able to perfect the revival fluid and thus they can start working to revive society.
Okay.
And so then after that we get just a little bit, like I think it's like a little bit of a like yeah, it's they were about to revive Yuzuriha, but lions came in, and then we
Well,
get
first,
them.
Taiji freaked out because he wanted to get her clothes first.
But yeah, that too.
That was kind of stupid, honestly.
I mean, yeah, but
I mean, I
Yeah.
understand, but also
I understand. But I mean, they didn't realize
like
they were on a time crunch.
I understand both their sides of the argument, but
Survival over like
Yeah, but they didn't realize the lions were on them at that point.
yeah, like just excluding the lions, just off of Senku's and Taiju's. Like,
Oh yeah, no, both arguments are valid.
yeah. Like, I assume making the clothes wouldn't take too long, but they ended up in a bad situation and thus delayed Yuzuriha's revival for a little bit.
Yeah.
And thus, when they get trapped by lions, they have to instead revive the built-up Tsukasa.
What did they call him?
The world's strongest, like
primate teenager.
Primate teenager.
Primate high schooler.
Primate high schooler. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, we see his flashback, and he looks nothing different from like just basically an MMA fighter. He's just really strong.
Why do they call him a primate?
Yeah, it looks like he's just an MMA fighter.
It don't make sense.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Actually, before we get into Tsukasa's entrance, there was one thing that I think really like shows their like Senku's and Taiju's friendship is where like Senku talks Taiju out of like giving him like basically shielding himself entirely from the lions.
Yes. I can't fully remember that, but
It was basically where Taiju wanted to protect Senku because Senku is important to reviving everything, but Taiju is just also equally as important because Senku can't do stuff on his own.
That's a common plot point in here. Not that they knew of at the time.
True.
Yeah, I'm like, it helps if you know those people, but also like it's just.
So I'm gonna guess Tsubasa was, or not Tsubasa. Tsukasa is a pretty famous figure.
Yeah.
In the modern world.
Apparently.
that they would know of him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Yeah.
All right. He's at least the type of person that Taiju would know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we get I like the explanation that Senku gives him where it's like you got stone fragments covering you and they're alliance from your 10 to 2. And
I
thus he
mean,
uses this stone to like hit every single lion and Taiju.
they are. I mean, I'm telling you, Tsukasa and Senku are both really analytical and smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, I wanted to bring up also the thing about the animals. What were your what were your thoughts on that? Like considering that they wouldn't like know humans and whatnot.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Real question:
Didn't you have
were
something
there
that you were
enough
taking
lions
notes?
in Japan to have them populate like that?
I don't know this like how their zoos are populated, so I would not know.
Because zoos usually have like a lion and a lioness, but
Yeah.
which is similar to the foraging thing. Species
my
should.
question is, how'd they get out? Because they make an offhand comment that the door must have been open.
The cage was open. Like you could see it even in the like the flash through stuff. Like the gates were open when like everything happened.
Well, isn't that just a coincidence?
Even if gates were closed, gates would have broken down.
Over
And
time, yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't the animals have starved before that point?
I mean, if an animal gets desperate, they'll find food.
If they're in an enclosed space with a gate that hasn't been opened, they probably would have starved before that gate was destroyed. Because I'm thinking, like, the big cat areas, they usually have high walls in big trenches. Like, if that gate wasn't open, they weren't getting out.
Fair.
Especially because I remember at the San Francisco Zoo, 3 idiots, to put it lightly, were taunting the tiger, and it jumped a 13-foot wall just to get to them and maul them.
Yeah, I'm like
you have to have big pits and big walls to keep big cats in their areas.
Mm-hmm.
And well, shown by that very story, a lot of those walls aren't high enough because they don't expect there to be something tempting it on the other side.
Yeah.
Or people stupid enough to tempt it on the other side.
Kiddos and adults watching, don't piss off the animals at the zoo. They will kill you. They don't have any qualms about murder.
Yeah.
That's just your friendly PSA. Don't piss off the animals at the zoo. They will kill you. It happens more often than not.
And then occasionally we kill them back, but
well, yeah, but
yeah, well,
don't do it in the first place. We don't need to start a war with the zoo animals.
I mean, it's not like it would exactly be a hard battle for humans, but
no, but don't piss off the animals. It's kind of simple.
Yeah. So anyways, Tsukasa breaks out. He says he'll do the fighting, and we get this little thing about like just a little thing that we see into Tsukasa's character early on is him wanting to use the lion meat because he doesn't want to waste it.
Yes. Actually, I didn't realize it until a couple episodes later, but that cloak he wears is the lion.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is the lion.
Yeah. And the only reason I noticed that is I actually saw the paws that he wears around the front to tie it together.
Mm-hmm.
Which
yeah,
I like.
But
hey, it's like Hercules when he wore the Nemean lion skin or whatever.
True. He's at least using it.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be like a callback to Hercules?
I honestly could not tell you.
It feels like it because they're both really strong. And
yeah, I really do not know like what Boichi's and I forget the name of the author, but like what their influence was from that, if there was any.
Yeah.
But so we get that, and so You just get a little bit of a montage showing off how strong Tsukasa is,
Yeah, I also
including.
really like how early on Senku notices that there's something wrong with him.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
notices. Well, he
It's
knew
like,
from the beginning there being a strong person in this world is a threat.
yeah, because he
Mhm.
immediately told Taiju, yeah, he could be a cool guy or he could be a murderer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you wake someone up in a brand new stone world, you don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I
Not to
mean, he was
mention they're
right.
also
He's a
very
cool guy,
strong.
but also a murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
So he
Senku's
wasn't one or
lines
the
later
other.
on.
He was both.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like Tsukasa is a nice guy who happens
Happens
to
to
be a
be a murderer.
murderer. Yeah. So after that quick little montage, including Tsukasa being able to jump and grab birds in the air.
And then catch himself on a branch like it's nothing. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was really well like done in the anime. That's like an extra feat of strength that they added on. They just only show like the fish in the manga.
Yeah. Which is still incredible.
Yeah. Um, but then we get the introduction of
That
what was that, Matt?
I said he speared 3 fish at once on one spear. That thing had to be going so fast and underwater.
It's more than 3 fish, Matt.
It looked like it was mostly 3. Like in one shot, he did 3, right?
Yeah.
More
In
than
the
3.
manga, it looks like there were 10 that he did at once.
Yeah, he is a strong boy. Stop giving him steroids. He doesn't need them.
I don't think it was steroids is the thing.
I don't think it was either, but
The man is just naturally strong. I mean, of course he had to work out for it, but I mean,
there's strong, and then there's hacking.
yeah. But so while they're at the beach, Senku talks about an ingredient that they need because it'll be important for a lot of stuff that they use, being calcium carbonate. Which has
roll credits.
What'd you say?
For which he says there is 3 uses to it.
No, he says 4, lists 3, and then gaslights them into believing there's only 3.
Yeah. I know, that's what I was trying to get. Just joke about. It was on purpose. Basically, he talks about the use for agriculture, like infrastructure in mortar, and then soap, because soap is very important.
Yes.
And this is where I start.
Oh boy.
So, the way he collects calcium carbonate, he collects it through, well, shells. Problem with him collecting it from shells. Not that it wouldn't work, it would work. It does come from shells, and shells is a large way to collect it. It would also mean it would be in all of that area because shells like to break down into sand, and also they would break down into the water. So, like I said earlier, when he's boiling down that water for salt, he'd be finding some calcium carbonate. Most likely how he then realized, oh, I should probably use this. So maybe I'm looking too far into it, but neat detail if you think about it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then he talks about like turning it into things. It's so helpful, and it's not like, oh, this is primitive use, like we wouldn't use this anymore. No, that this stuff straight up makes concrete. So it's probably kind of everywhere due to the fact that it was used to make concrete. So there's probably just like a bunch of stone around that's reused that.
Matt, do you happen to know the concentration of sugar you need to put into concrete to make it unusable?
No, I actually don't know that off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I think there's a certain ratio of sugar to concrete that'll make it so it'll never set properly, and is therefore unusable.
Huh.
I could definitely. Well, I know that's true, but I do not know the percentage.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, like, the
I
concrete
didn't know
probably
that,
broke
period.
down. The concrete most likely broke down, and a lot of the minerals were probably reused to create rocks.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's logical.
So he probably could have found calcium carbonate all around him, just probably not as pure as shells.
Yeah, shell's probably the easiest way to get it.
Yeah.
I do like that when he talks about the 3 uses and then it's asked about the 4th and, gaslights them into believing that there was never a 4th, that it's already showing that he's already making plans against Tsukasa. I keep
Yeah,
those as Tsukasa.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna, re-emphasize that by, because Tsukasa compliments him, but Senku says, a man who'd praise another man to his face is either flirting or scheming.
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Oh, yeah. No, I just, there were just some, really good lines.
Oh, no, that line's
says.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a great line. But what if he was flirting?
Oh ho.
Honestly, wouldn't be against it.
No, we're getting onto a totally different conversation now.
You know what?
Yeah, but with our resident ship trash here, I mean that in the politest way possible.
Ow! Fight me!
I just mean you just like ships.
You can't do this. This is homophobic. You can't insult me on Pride Month. That's homophobic.
Yeah, it just started today. Come on.
I just mean that you just like ships a lot.
I do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, I'm not. I was just saying, since our resident ship trash is here, let's have him rant about it for a bit.
I mean, big tough guy and small smart guy, it's a common trope.
It is very much a common trope in yaoi.
I mean, he does compliment him a lot in his Tsukasa. I've been reading too much My Hero. I apologize.
No, you're good. I just keep on laughing every time you replace a K with a B.
Tsukasa keeps complimenting Senku in his head, so I mean, Who knows?
But anyways, so after that we get Senku having some conversation with Tsukasa, and Tsukasa gives a little bit of what can be assumed to be his backstory about wanting to gather shells for his sister.
Yeah.
But because of how the modern world was, there were some people, and there was this drunk guy who basically was that's my this is my property, which I don't exactly get how it works, but I mean he was drunk, so I mean
private beaches are a thing, but
yeah, they are.
Private beaches are a thing, but
private beach owners are bastards.
But this guy was a drunkard wandering the beach. Do you really think he had that capital to own a beach?
What else does a private beach owner have to do?
Wander drunk on their beach. I mean, you saying you wouldn't?
Exactly. Well, other than that, they do exactly what the guy did, and that's yell at people for being on their beach.
Yeah.
True. And so basically it all leads up to Tsukasa breaking one of the stone statues, which is basically equivalent to murder.
No, it is murder. It's 100% murder.
Well, I'm gonna leave that
unless
for now.
they've lost consciousness already, in which it's not murder according to how the thing works. But
well,
that's a whole other thing.
There's a other thing as well, but I'm not gonna mention that either.
Please don't spoil it. I am kind of intrigued to see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not going to say anything
The only
more.
thing I know of in the future is I saw a picture of them in like a hot air balloon or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that is from what will be season 3 content.
Cool.
Yeah,
Um,
that how do we know about that then? Because I did not know that.
I saw a picture, I guess a trailer or something. I don't know. It looked animated.
Oh,
Either that or it was really, really well done coloring.
oh, I think they probably did like a trailer for the manga around that time, and that's probably where it's from.
Cool.
It's probably to celebrate, like, because that happened around like chapter 100 in the manga, so.
Speaking of hundreds, isn't My Hero's 100th episode coming out? Actually, technically the last episode was, but like number wise.
Yeah, though, with the animes, it isn't like that big of a like thing. Yeah, it's like 2 episodes from episode 100 for the anime.
I do like that the 100th episode on Funimation was the last episode where the big thing happened.
Yeah, I mean, like counting wise, it's not for like another 2 episodes technically, but
So
yeah.
they're not gonna do anything big for it.
No, like animes don't tend to. They'll do big things for like 100 chapters in the manga, but they can't really do that with the anime because like
Okay,
things
cool.
just don't line up as well.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to check.
Although, except for maybe One Piece because they're nearing their 1000th episode, which is also with
That's
how
an
One Piece
amazing feat.
with how One Piece has been pacing its anime with like about a chapter to a half a chapter an episode, they'll probably hit the 1000th chapter around the 1000th episode.
Nice.
I just find that funny. But anyways, so then basically we get Tsukasa's talking about his ideal for the stone world, being that he wants to only have it be the pure-hearted youth that should be revived. And
Oh.
and it gets transposed with Senku's opposite idea of that he wants to revive everyone.
I understand where he's coming from, but
Yeah, I see both arguments, but murder's not the way to go, man.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
better
maybe
ways.
don't murder them. Maybe just like let the statues be.
Yeah, or move them to a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on like Tsukasa's ideals other than that they're obviously wrong?
It's an interesting argument. I mean, you have a chance to make a perfect world. Why wouldn't you try and take it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try and make it free of bad things, but also that's like subjective of what's bad, but also like I
Good
get
and
what you're
bad
saying.
isn't black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's understandable what he's saying, but also like
Just the way he's going about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good idea, but he's going about it all the wrong ways.
yeah, you also have like the thing of like, is there a difference between breaking these statues and choosing not to revive a person?
Yeah, you don't
Is
need to break it.
choosing not to revive a person also then murder? Or is that worse than murder since you're leaving them in a perpetual state of just
That's a good argument. What's the mercy? Killing them or leaving them in consciousness forever?
Yeah, I remember when when the anime first came out for this, like a lot of people were like, Taiju's not Taiju, Tsukasa's ideas are interesting. Not that like necessarily to 100% agree with them, but
Now
just,
that's
like,
a good question of morals and ethics. What's the mercy?
yeah, like, yeah.
That's a fantastic point. Actually, I hadn't thought of that.
yeah, no, I thought of that watching it this time because I was like, would it be wrong to in turn just leave people? But
yeah, probably.
what about the ones who've already lost consciousness? Technically, didn't you say like the revival fluid can still bring them back?
Yeah, it pretty much negates death.
Yeah. So consciousness is only important if you're trying to will yourself awake.
You can lose consciousness in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we see Senku like mention it like a few times when he's counting.
You know,
He's
he
like
does mention
every
it.
so many seconds he starts to lose consciousness.
How does he keep counting then if he loses consciousness?
No, he says he almost loses
Oh.
consciousness, and he then like goes, "I can't lose consciousness. I need to stay aware."
So consciousness is game over, right? Loss of it.
It's loss of it for willing yourself awake, not for revival.
Yeah, for willing. Yeah.
Okay.
For willing yourself awake, but
And
for
people have done
revival.
that. I'm guessing the other survivors we see at the end of episode 5 are ones who willed themselves awake. Because I can't say I can't logically make the assumption that everyone was revived by the revival fluid.
Yeah. We'll definitely see next time on what those people at the end were.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a main topic next time.
Yeah, for sure. And so basically, after this thing, Taiju brings in the revival fluid with which basically breaks the one thing that Senku was trying to keep hidden.
Yeah.
And so basically, Senku is now thrown on the back end of just trying to plan around Tsukasa.
Taiji did kind of screw him on that one, didn't he?
Yeah. So basically, to throw Tsukasa off for a little bit, he tells him to go to the cave where they have the miracle. Well, not the miracle fluid, but the nitric acid at least.
The bat poop.
Being stored, and so thus Tsukasa goes off to do that. From which Senku then quickly goes to revive Yuzuriha.
Matt, what's the logic? Is it logical to get nitric acid from Bakwano?
Let me see if I actually have that written down, because I might. I think I did a search on that. So yeah, it's possible, but not necessarily from the bats. More so from the minerals in the cave.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
And so then we get the good guy who happens to be a murderer line, and Senku revives, pours the revival fluid on Yuzuriha, for which the reaction takes longer than it did with like him and Taiju, who were like in conscious states throughout.
So she was unconscious at that point. Okay, cool.
Basically, it's just explaining that it takes longer to undo the petrification if you're not conscious. I assume basically the revival fluid basically acts as like a reaction like to the person's body that can like kind of make them will themselves awake.
And what was the reason that Tsukasa was staying conscious?
Pure anger.
Honestly, I mean, I have an assumption on what it may be, but it's spoilers, so I won't go into it here.
Please don't. I'm going to ask that we don't even cover it at the end in our spoiler section, because I do want to watch.
No, we aren't going to have a spoilers section for Dr. Stone, because
awesome.
I'm going to try and keep the spoilers to as minimal as possible for you.
Yeah. I feel how Jaden felt when he was watching a My Hero episode.
Yeah. I'm like, that's why we're probably going to have a spoiler section moving forward.
Yep, because I got a couple complaints on that, and I realized that was kind of shitty of us. Especially because we didn't even preface it with a warning. We just kind of dropped it like the bomb it was.
Yep. Anyways, so continuing on, Yuzuriha wakes up, for which it isn't mentioned, it isn't actually brought up in like the anime or the manga. Like, I mean, you could technically figure it out if you know like the language, but so Taiju's name can also be translated into big tree.
Nice.
So when Yuzuriha says that Taiju saved her, it's also somewhat in reference that he's like basically the tree.
Interesting.
It's a bit of like a little bit of a language joke sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of like a play on words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
because the tree like saved Yuzuriha in place, but it was also like basically Taiju that saved her as well, both meeting Big Tree. So
I don't think he really did much, but
yeah,
I don't know
but
more than anything, but give credit to
yeah,
whoever you want.
yeah. Um, and so basically, right after this, Senku gives them two choices. Basically, either flee with him to fight or to run away and live their lives away from Tsukasa. You guys have any thoughts on that, or?
It's an
Just
interesting dilemma to leave them with.
yeah. Tsukasa's a bad man. I don't know. He did go on a rampage and kill a couple families on his way out.
He didn't even kill the whole family. I think what he did was objectively worse.
He killed the
He
parents.
just killed the
He
parents.
killed the
Yeah,
parents
that
and
is.
just kind of left the children.
That is worse.
Yeah, if those children revived, they would have been in a Batman sort of situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
Tsukasa's raising an army of Batmans at this point.
well, I guess kind of. But more of so Tsukasa makes it back fairly fast because he's Tsukasa.
The strongest primate high schooler or whatever.
Yeah.
Super speed.
And so basically, Taiju goes over to try and fight him. And
Fight is a strong word.
Yeah, I was gonna say fight is a strong word. Taiju can't really hit anything, but he more of like takes a few of Tsukasa's attacks. But before Taiju makes it close, Senku pulls out a crossbow that he made as a like surprise weapon.
Yeah. How did he catch that out of the air?
Tsukasa's reflexes are insane. Like his reflexes and his strength.
Reflex, it's also that hurts your hand so much. And
So you can actually do that?
Well, I mean, would the spinning make it hurt a bit less?
No, the spinning would make it worse, actually. So
Really, because basically that's like taking the velocity with it.
No, it's worse. Because first of all, he's gonna feel that force in his arm, but he's also ripping that, and that twisting motion is gonna try and rip his hand. I doubt this, but if you've ever spun a bike tire and tried to catch it and stop it hurts.
Yeah, that sounds.
It's not pleasant. I've done it plenty of times because, like, if you need to check a tire, you'll have the bike upside down. You'll spin it, and get it going quick, and then stop it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you need to stop it somehow, but you need to spin it to see if anything's going to go wrong, and then you'll stop it. And you tend to stop it with your hand, and it hurts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tires tear up roads, and those things are spinning. Yes, spinning quite a bit faster than that arrow probably was, but it's still gonna hurt. Yeah. Or it should hurt. Mm-hmm. It should be difficult for him. So it is a feat for him to do that.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could do that.
No, it's definitely possible with a lot of skill. And if you already had your hand in position,
yes,
him getting his hand there quick enough is
something out of. See, when I saw that, the first thing I thought of was the Arrow TV show, and then the next thing I thought of is like, wait a minute, these are both stupid.
Yeah.
But anyways, Taiju somewhat like basically tries to give Tsukasa an ultimatum, but it like really gives nothing in the way of a deal.
Yeah.
And so instead they have to make a tactical retreat.
What did they get him to leave? I forget.
Definitely.
No, he just walks away to go murder some more statues.
Ah, right.
But basically Senku talks about what's going to be their trump card being gunpowder.
What were they trying to do? They were trying to make a gun, right?
Yeah.
There's many uses for gunpowder.
No, but he specifically says gun.
Well, more of
gun
the
is what he says once they get to the hot springs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the imagery that they show at first, so it basically makes you think that he's trying to make a gun.
I was gonna say, how is he going to make a gun in the stone world?
I mean, probably, I assume... I mean...
It's not going to be a very finely crafted
Yeah,
gun.
it's going to be, like, different from what we'd imagine a modern gun to be, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
but...
I'd be interested to see how that would work.
It would not have the force. If anything, a bow or a crossbow, which he has already created, would be more effective. But
I mean...
So a bomb would be a good thing. Like, what is he going to do against a bomb?
bomb would be the proper approach.
Yeah, which I don't know if like I forget like if he changes tactics a bit just because of like what they accidentally do to the gunpowder a bit later.
I think he has to. I think he realizes that whatever comes next, he needs to. They're not gonna be able to do what they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But so basically they start their trek over to I forget what it was called. It's
something with an H, I think.
Hakone. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Hakone, I believe they said. Yeah.
Hakone.
And so they make their trek over there. Senku tries to like get directions from it, but like using a sextant, which I believe like measures like the sun.
Yeah.
It's the sun, and what it's implying is the tilt of the Earth or the distance from the Earth to the sun has changed.
Yeah.
Which isn't entirely impossible. It definitely could happen in that amount of time. It changes slightly all the time, but...
You know what I'd be interested to see? How useless would a compass be? Because I know we have, are we going through another magnetic shift? Because I think we're in the process of going through one.
I think we are too, and so a compass wouldn't work for them either.
Yeah, because but it has been 3,000 years. Who knows how many magnetic shifts they've experienced?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I can just say the probability of it lining up with those, not gonna work.
Yeah.
But they end up finding a Buddha statue.
Yes.
Of Kamakura, which it's what allows Senku to know where their location is.
That scene again is what actually originally tripped me off to him having the photographic memory, was that he knew the exact coordinates of the statue after 3,000 years. Because there's no other.
Yeah, that's not something you would have studied.
That's something.
It's a little thing that's actually brought up in the manga, but not brought up in the anime. But there's like a little like page explaining like how he knew where it was. It's like, well, it's a big like monument thing here, so why wouldn't I know the location of it?
But the coordinates?
Yeah. No, I get the coordinates are definitely a big thing, but like,
oh, so you guys
Senku is the type of person who. Yeah. 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 I was hoping to get it done before they came back, but unfortunately not. So I'll try and wrap this up pretty quickly.
Well, we still got a bit to go.
Yeah, just a bit. So they get there, which actually just a small little thing. Like, it's definitely makes sense for a Buddhist like statue to be in Kamakura of all places, just because I've learned a bit about like the history of Japanese religion, and they like the Kamakura was a pretty big place for one form of Buddhism back in like it was like just before the feudal period.
Do we remember what the statues? It was either bronze or copper, right?
Yeah, it was bronze.
I have something written here.
Cool. I was about to ask the logic of that still being standing, and they said it was something about the why it wasn't overgrown or falling apart. Is any of that true?
So he in turn talks about the fact that there's a large empty space around it because it was a bunch of concrete. That makes sense, but also there were so many concrete buildings that now have, greenery all in.
Well, I thought it wasn't concrete. I thought he said it was the copper and the bronze was.
Well, no, that's for the statue. They also mentioned that the area around it was completely empty since it was flat and concrete when there was a monument, so that people could go and see.
I thought they said the reason that the grass hadn't grown around it was because something was seeping into the ground and keeping stuff from growing.
The copper ions.
That might have been it. But I was also going to talk about that statue should have broken down. We see the inside of it. It is hollow.
Yeah.
It's hollow. And I don't care what it's made of. We saw so many other things break down. We saw like steel beams of buildings, like completely no trace of them. And so to say that this would have stayed standing, like literally we even saw a quarter of this face has just it's gone, it's corroded. And this wasn't me, but this was a comment of Josh's. Natural disasters.
Yes.
Yeah, this thing wouldn't be standing.
I wonder what's the climate situation looking like after 3,000 years of no humans?
Probably a lot cleaner.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can change in that time.
Yeah. One other thing. Also in that area, it talked about how like the cherry blossoms as they knew it were dead.
Hey, the one time that they actually follow through with the fact that species would have changed in that amount of time.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, why aren't the species more different?
No, I mentioned that with him foraging for plants.
Well, that I meant the animals.
I mentioned that with the lions too. The lions should have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's weird. They like selectively do some things, but I mean,
mentioned that the lions' appetite or like diet might have changed because like they were forced to eat whatever was around.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to probably like just predict this stuff, which is why they mostly left it alone, probably.
Fair enough.
But anyways, so from that point, we basically we continue the trek.
Actually, I think we get a flashback at this point. Not a flashback. We go back to Tsukasa and realizing that they're gone and seeing the tracks.
Yeah, a little bit after they travel for a little bit.
Or did they make it to the hot springs? But by the time he realizes that what they're doing.
No, I believe it's like right after they talk about the petrification thing not fully getting undone with Yuzuriha is when they go to it.
Yes, that's true.
So I was just
why was it hurting her? Because she did mention that it was causing her some pain.
Like it wasn't like more of hurting her, but it's more of like you just feel like it's like imagine if like you had like basically if you were like
you were
like
wearing...
if your leg fell asleep, but it was like all the time.
Okay.
And it was as hard as a steel-toed boot, just on half of your toes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Probably not a pleasant feeling it against your other toes too.
Why hadn't
like
said anything?
It's like probably because they're in a hurry.
In a desperate situation with Tsukasa.
You know what? Right. The time she's been alive, he's been trying to kill them.
Yeah, it's been life or death the entire time she's been awake.
Which, God, that's awful for her.
Yeah, it was really an unfortunate situation that she was thrust into.
They woke her up and went, "Hey, we're kind of about to die. Let's go."
Yeah,
Senku gave them the option to leave, like especially for Taiju because Taiju knew the situation, but
yeah, but were they really gonna take it? Let's be honest.
I mean, Taiju was definitely not going to take it, and from what we understand a bit later, I don't think Yuzuriya would have either,
No,
even
because
if
they're
she
all
knew the
good
full
friends at that
situation.
point, right?
Yeah.
Yuzuriya would have listened to whatever Taiju's decision was due to the fact that she knew she didn't have a good understanding of the situation. And Senku knew Taiju would come with him, just like he knew he wouldn't drink the gasoline.
That's a thing that we see a lot, is that they know when someone poses a question or poses a situation, they already know what the answer is going to be.
Yeah, it's because they're all like really good friends. They know each other really well.
More of Tsukasa. I was thinking more talking about Tsukasa with.
He has an oddly good understanding of psychology,
which makes zero sense for him being supposed to be the. I don't know.
He's a muscle man who understands science and psychology.
Yeah,
but not like all science, because like his first answer to what would be an important thing to get first in the stone world, he replies with iron.
It was make weapons, obviously.
Yeah, it was the first thing was the calcium, whatever.
Yeah. It was calcium carbonate.
Cool.
Yeah, but then we finally reach the hot springs, and things are getting a bit hectic from here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Even though they do have like a bit of a peaceful respite where Taiju basically says that he isn't going to say what he wanted to tell Yuzuriya until everyone survived. While Senku collects all the materials.
Can we go back to Tsukasa's it's just weird knowledge of the fact that the tracks were heading in a direction that obviously means they're making gunpowder to kill me.
Well, it's more of that he could figure out that the tracks that they were laying out were fake tracks, I believe.
Yeah,
but how he figured it was in the opposite direction and that they were trying to make gunpowder, I could not tell you.
First of all, how did he know what direction they were heading in? Like, that's such a huge leap for him to know they're heading in that direction. That obviously means they're going to that city. Like, how does he know which way's north?
Yeah, honestly, it's a bit of a plot contrivance, but
because I don't think Senku would have told him which way north was. If he was hesitant about him from the start, why would you give him such a huge help by telling him which way north is so he can orientate himself?
Assuming,
I guess the sun. I guess you can use the sun.
I was gonna say the sun, but also if anything's changed, which we know it has since Senku's tool didn't work to tell him things, it wouldn't have helped that much.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. But then we get into what is it? We get into basically after that little scene, we get into gunpowder making with I like how they do it in the anime. I just like how they do it where it's like a kitchen making thing.
Yeah, they do that little bit. But I want to get into the logistics of it being gunpowder and them making it.
No, go ahead.
So with gunpowder, they're correct in their formula, hence them having to put in a warning. This is the real thing. Please do not attempt this.
Why would they do that?
No, they legit gave the proper formula.
No, I know they gave the proper formula in the warning. Why would you do that though? You're just asking for a question by giving the proper formula.
Yeah. And well, yes, it makes gunpowder. It makes the specific type of gunpowder it makes is not what's used in modern day.
Well, no, obviously not.
Yeah, because it's a much less refined, a much more coarse and early stage black gunpowder. And so it's not going to be as powerful. And that's when I then have a problem with a thing in the next episode that happens at the hot springs with the explosions.
Yeah.
Those wouldn't have created the effect or, mushroom cloud that they created.
It wasn't really a mushroom cloud, but how big the smoke
No,
trail
it
was.
did. No, it's straight up mushroom cloud in the anime.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't like. I remember it like blowing up. I didn't think it was like mushroom cloud.
No, they did a mushroom cloud explosion effect on it, but I understand that's probably just blowing it up for the anime. Yeah. Other than that, there's another thing the in the episode we're talking about that I'm just not even gonna try and explain.
And what is that, Matt?
Rocket science.
Oh, well, we haven't quite gotten to that yet. But have you said all you need to on gunpowder?
Yeah, on gunpowder.
Okay.
I just have a problem with how it's shown.
Okay, so basically, after that, basically, Tsukasa is getting closer, and he sees the smoke, so he knows where they are. But also, Senku and company see a smoke signal from someone else. To which brings up a big question, and I just want to get your theory on what you think these people are. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but like, what is your full thoughts on who that person is that we see?
I'm totally sorry. I spaced out. What were we talking about?
The smoke signal, basically.
I have no clue who that could be, but survivors, I'm guessing.
Okay, so you think it's survivors?
Yeah, it because we see it later. It's there's a girl going around making the fires.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just more of like curious if that's
How
just
did that person get there?
Oh, how? My guess is they did it like Senku and willed themselves awake. I mentioned it earlier that I don't think they went the Guano route because actually, you know what? They do show another science guy, so it's like a 50-50 whether it's pure will or the science guy made his own revival fluid. Because we see it
science guy are you
in the opening. We see another science guy messing with bottles of stuff with Senku. I'm gonna guess he's another science guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him, but I've seen him in the opening, so I'm gonna guess he's helping them revive people too.
Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see by next time we meet for talking about Dr. Stone.
Cool.
And so basically Senku is then trying to fuel the fire to allow the people at the smoke signal to know that it is a sign of other people.
Yeah.
From which then Tsukasa comes in and threatens Senku with Yuzuria's life. And basically, what is it? Basically, Tsukasa like sees through Senku's lie when he says that he doesn't care about Yuzuriha.
Yeah.
And thus, like, he cuts off her hair and like threatening to actually cut off her head. From which, even though Yuzuriha is ready to sacrifice herself, Senku gives up the revival fluid formula in order to save his friends.
Yeah.
And Tsukasa, I believe, what is it? He gives him one last chance to say that he won't do anything for science. And basically Senku refuses. And I believe like a bit like just like right before Tsukasa is going to die, like, or gives him that ultimatum. We see like a bit about like Senku's childhood and whatnot.
Or I think this, Yes, it is. It's there. As he's giving the ultimatum, we get a flashback to his childhood.
Yeah, that's where we see him learning about rocket science and that he wants to go to space.
More of stating that he wants to go to space and then like wanting to learn stuff about rocket science, and thus his dad gives him stuff needed for it.
Oh, he sold his car for that, right? Like that's what they were showing.
Yeah, that's what they showed.
How much money did he get for that? Because that was a lot of stuff.
I mean, considering the amount of cash that he got, it looked like maybe like a good like few 100,000 yen potentially.
I was about to say, if you said dollars, I'm like, what car did he have?
No, that translates to about roughly like probably about a few $1,000, like a few $10,000, I should say.
Yeah, but that was still a
what
lot.
Car did he have?
Yeah, because that was a lot of stuff.
I honestly have no clue, like what, like how much it would like sell for, but just from the like looks of the wad of cash that he gets.
Yeah.
But then we get like a few of Senku's inventions as a kid.
Yeah.
Feeding into like his middle school days. Where and we like also threw it out at see like Taiju starting to protect and help him out when he's young, and then Yuzuriya started helping.
What is his? How does his hair work? How is it white with like teal on the tips? Like, is that dyed or? I've just been curious.
Know. It always just reminds me of like a leak.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too when I first saw it.
It's meant to be styled after that.
Okay.
It's just a style choice. It's literally just meant to look like a daikon, basically. A daikon radish.
Okay. Because he's always had whatever that hairstyle was, and I mean...
Yeah, it's honestly, I think, just a character design choice. Honestly, it's just anime hair. So.
Yeah, anime hair is weird, usually. Hey, at least he's the obvious winner of Who's the Main Character game.
Yeah. If you were to put Taiju in there, would you be able to pick him out?
I don't know. Actually, speaking of character designs, I really appreciate the cracks in their skin, because I was wondering what that was at first, and they finally explain it when they talk about Yuzuriya's stone foot. I really liked it as a character design. Like, I think it's really unique and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's described as like the cracks that formed in the stone, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. But then basically we just go through his like childhood to teenage, and he finally gets pretty close to going into space. He's building a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sends those 3 dolls into the atmosphere.
I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, he put them into orbit.
And so basically Senku gives his answer to Tsukasa being like he would never give up science because that's just who he is. To which he
why Tsukasa hates science so much, because you can have a world with science without making it what it was.
Yeah, but he like is very
caveman science bud.
He wants where he can be the top.
Yeah, even though technically fire is science, but
it is.
His
tools were made by science. Everything he has is made by some form of science.
Yeah. Even if that is just craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took science to make it in the first place.
But basically Tsukasa, to save Senku the pain of dying, like severs his cervical, like it's like the cervical cord, nerve. That's what it was.
Yeah.
From which Tsukasa says that Senku may have been his first friend if they had met
thought
before.
that was really cute. How they added the 4th doll for his own flashback.
Yeah, like his own like make believe flashback. If like if he were with them prior.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
I really like. So what I'm getting, so what I'm from what I'm understanding, is that the entire time Senku was purposely cracking his neck around Tsukasa to get him to strike him in the neck, right? That was what
subconsciously.
through subliminal messaging.
Yeah,
he was telling him strike here. I love that because subliminal messaging is really powerful. There's a reason it's banned now in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy effective when done right.
Yeah, and we see it. I mean, he tricks him real good. He gets him good.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, did he never cure that stone for that exact reason? Like, before he met Tsukasa, did he just leave it there just in case something like this happened?
He probably was just like, there's no reason. I'm doing just fine.
Okay. And then when Tsukasa showed up, he's like, whoa, I can use this.
Yeah, he was like, he then probably...
It's either that or through his experimentation, he figured it may have been more,
He didn't Taiju has any stone in him somewhere?
No, Taiju came out just fine, surprisingly.
So what's the reason for that? Like, why does it only happen for some people and not others?
I don't know. Maybe just because the revival fluid didn't reach that specific part.
One willed himself awake, so I can see why it would have left a piece. And then she was...
unconscious.
Yeah, she was unconscious.
Okay, I can see it.
Also, I think, maybe just, the revival fluid can hit, most of it, and that helps you, but it doesn't, necessarily guarantee all of your body will become undone.
Actually, I got a better question. How did Taiju wake up with the imperfect revival fluid? Was it a mix of the imperfect revival fluid and him willing himself awake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but I also have to assume that Senku had him under there for a few months as well, which may have helped just a bit.
Yeah, but there was no alcohol mixed into it.
Yeah, but still, sitting under nitric acid when you're stoned...
True, will do something over time.
Dripping on you, over time is going to do something.
True,
Probably, yeah.
True.
Yeah, and then, we get this small little flashback thing of Senku, when Taiju questions Senku sacrificing himself, it's we get this little small flashback of Senku saying that he'd try and save everyone, based off of this psychology test.
Yes, which is what tips him off that there's more to the situation than what meets the eye.
Because Senku would never go for a suicide route, basically.
No. I'm just surprised that he remembered the neck cracking thing.
Yeah, and that's where we finally get the revelation about his habit being the thing.
Yeah, I really like. I've said it. I've already said it once, but I'll say it again. I really do appreciate the 4-dimensional chess game that he and that Senku and Tsukasa have going on. Because they're both really intelligent people just trying to outmaneuver each other.
It gets so much better, over time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Deeper and deeper.
That's awesome. And that they had planned because did they plan for Senku to take the fall, or was that unscripted?
I have to imagine that there's maybe just a little bit of pre-planning put into each of these because the way the manga is set up is there are chapters that are clearly stated as parts basically, so it'll be
oh wait, not that. I meant when Taiju, Yuzuriya, and Senku were planning for Tsukasa's arrival, did they plan for him to take the fall? Because they reacted perfectly with Taiju faking being angry so that Yuzuriya would be able to get a blow in.
I feel like maybe... Yeah, I don't think that was scripted.
I think it was just genuinely just thinking on the fly, and those two knowing each other well enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was awesome. Because when I first saw Boulder went up, because my dad's played that trick on me a million times. Don't look when something goes up. Don't look up. Keep your eye on the opponent.
Yeah.
So I knew that was good. I assumed that Tsukasa was going to fall for it. I didn't even think of Yuzuriya being the one to go for the strike, which is what ends up happening, which was awesome.
Yeah, because what Tsukasa did was he was like, "Don't! I'm not looking up at this boulder. I'm keeping my eye on."
Which is then, if you threw it right, that boulder could have hit him. Either way, that's a lose-lose situation. But then I remembered they don't want to kill him.
No, they just want to stop him.
Taiju didn't want to kill him.
He also then realizes Taiju's not going to attack me.
When it was too late, because at that point, Yuzuriya was already moving for the gunpowder.
Yeah, because also Taiju it's not in his nature to attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's been built up that he's good at taking stuff, but he can't dish it out.
So is he a pacifist? Is that what they're trying to say?
I wouldn't necessarily say, like, pacifist, but I'd just say more of he's good at taking blows, he just does not know how to, like, dish it out.
Okay.
No, I think it's the fact he refuses to hit people, because that's what it showed in the flashback. It showed him being like, I'm not going to hit you back. I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah.
True. But anyways, basically right when they revive Senku, they decide to show us the flashback of how Senku wakes up.
I thought that was awesome. Just Senku's flashback of how he made it, survived in the Stone World was so cool.
I have some things to say about it, but I'll let you guys talk.
I actually, Matt, I love your inputs because I've always been curious about the science of the show, and I really appreciate that you took the time to do the research on it, so thank you.
So the reason I actually started on the science was I was watching through a lot of this, and I realized my ADHD has, taken me through enough phases of wanting to do things. I have general information about so many things. I was like, oh, hey, that would actually work.
The hyperfixations are beneficial sometimes. No, I understand.
Yeah, they definitely are beneficial at times.
Specifically at times. Not always, but at times.
Yeah. There are plenty of things I'm going to focus on. One of the things is it shows Senku makes fire. A very important thing. It also shows he struggles at first. He struggles at first for probably a multitude of reasons, some of which were addressed. But I believe that it was most likely due to the wood being the wrong type of wood. It was probably too dry, or it was probably too wet, and it had too much moisture in it. Which I believe he says something about the climate and it being fairly warm and most likely humid.
Yeah.
And so it's just not going to create what it needs to do. And he also probably wasn't spinning it fast enough because you have to go really fast. That's why he ends up using the bow method, because you can go so much faster than just trying to do a hand drill.
Yes.
Yeah, Tsenku says it's too humid in Japan, basically.
Which makes sense because it is an island.
Yeah. So you need to find a really straight and dry piece of wood, a straight stick and a flat piece of wood, carve out a little area. And then use that bow drill, stabilizing it, and just spin that thing as fast as you can with that bow. And Senku says that it's the cellulose in the wood rapidly oxidizing that creates a combustion, creating the fire. If you've ever created a fire using a friction method similar to this, whether it be scraping, hand drill, or bow drill, you notice that you're breaking down the wood and it creates like ash, and then that ash then lights up and becomes ember. I was unsure if the cellulose was actually a thing for that, and so I was like, I'm gonna see if that's correct. I did a little bit of research. He was right. The cellulose is actually combustible, and so if you break it down enough with the friction is going to create enough heat for it to actually hit a point where it can combust and start to create embers.
It's awesome.
Which, honestly, that I was pretty impressed with, like the fact that, because that is what I guess makes wood combustible. I had never thought to research that, but the fact that Senku was able to know that. And then just a small detail that I was like, I wonder. Just the anime never really focuses on it. Senku makes clothes and pots. I assume he just did this through weaving plant fibers.
Yeah.
Like the pots are super thick.
The clothes come from the deer skin that he got.
Question.
Oh, they're deer skin.
How did he get the formula on there?
Well, if it was deer skin, that's not hard.
This is
but what writing utensil did he come up with? Did he make?
I don't think he used a writing utensil. I think he carved that in, or like burnt it in.
This isn't the end of the flashback. This is just like the first half of it. So
yeah,
I just thought it was a good cutting off point. So
yeah, I just remember seeing that's relativity, right? That's theory. It's the relativity one.
Yep, the theory of relativity.
Okay. It's been a while since I've taken a science class. I apologize. And my wheelhouse of science is physics. Is the one I remember the most is physics.
Yeah, it's Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
I was just considering how he made those pots, and I was like, maybe he used a binder. But then I looked at how thick those things are. They're thick.
I imagine it's clay. Like
no, you can tell that they're plant.
Really?
Yeah, you can see their weaved baskets.
Well, but he also has small ones. No, he has small ones inside the house that he breaks up that have to be clay.
Those ones are probably clay.
Okay.
Those tiny.
Yeah, those ones were probably made later, but like just
you can
these
see
early ones.
Yeah, the ones you see in this flashback that he has holding like food and like mushrooms and stuff.
Yeah, those are definitely.
Those are the weaved ones, and so I assume that those clothes were probably made similar, but I guess not. They're deer skin.
No, yeah, because there was just a thing where it's like he traps the deer and then.
But yeah, he does trap the deer.
Oh, I thought it just showed him turning that into food.
I don't remember it. I was at work.
It does show him turning it into food, but it also like right after that it shows him making it into clothes.
Which makes sense.
At least in the manga, so
montage went pretty quick.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the content that we have to cover at the moment. So next time we will be covering episodes 6 through 13 of the anime and chapters 14 through 33 of the manga.
Is this our longest episode? Because I think we've almost been running on 2 hours now.
Yeah, we had a lot of like details to go through. It should be.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining about how long it was. I felt like there was a pretty even spread of like, who said what?
Yeah, no, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. All right. But anyways, this is where we're going to end it. Do you want to give any like just shout outs for stuff that you do or in reference to you, Matthew?
I mean, I stream on Twitch, but if you want to find me, twitch.com. Is it twitch.tv? It is twitch.tv, isn't it?
Twitch.tv, yes.
Twitch.tv/Tyrian King, TYRIANKING. I hope I said that right, because I wasn't really paying attention.
You did. I was making sure you did.
You sound good. All right.
Yes.
Anyways, that'll be it. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. And
bye.
Bye-bye.